Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FPSO World Congress Live 2020 session 4. Coming up next, we have a presentation from CETCO Energy Services, and I'd like to invite Zishan to once again introduce our next speaker. Zishan, please.
Thank you, Jamie. So it's been a very nice session so far. We talked about Topsides 4.0. We talked about cyber security. It's clear that remote operations would be of utmost importance. We especially need to manage and monitor, fluids and other process related factors that can cause structural issues in an FPSO. And it's good to have a better understanding of what we are trying to monitor. So water is a very aggressive fluid, and it's critical to understand how processes related to water will affect FPSO operations, especially if operating remotely. So we have a speaker from CETCO Energy Services. CETCO, who offer a comprehensive portfolio of products related to complex fluid challenges in FPSO and other offshore operations. So our speaker, Mr. Andre Manhais, he's the Brazil General Manager at CETCO. He will be our speaker. Andre has 23 years of experience in the industry. He has a master's in naval engineering, specializing in petroleum. And he's worked previously in companies such as Schlumberger and Baker Hughes. So he's going to talk to us about slop tank dewatering techniques and how to handle your complex fluid challenges. So Andre, I would now like to pass it on to you.
Okay, good morning, Ishan. Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about slope water dewatering techniques and issues. As Christian said, it's a major issue on the operation side of the FPSOs for the year. Okay, and we'll detail from the scope of operator, what happened, and what happened when you have issues with your water on board, and why you have issues, and how is the operator's approach, and how is our approach, CETCO approach. And also we're going to talk at the very end about some very technical issue related to water soluble organics, which is a hot topic in the Brazil FPSO market right now. So I'll give a little background on how that started and why it's such a hot topic, and how to handle it. Okay. So let's go through it. Okay. So slope tank dewatering techniques to handle complex fluid challenges. So basically, why we have water inventory build up. Okay. Our approach, the operator approach, how we do the consulting services analysis prior to draw any further solution to the operator. Okay. Also, what's the CETCO strategy and CETCO technology? We're going to talk about latest development, our most unit, which is a modular offshore slope treatment system, and at the very end, the water soluble organic issues. Okay. So there's a lot of factors that can contribute to water inventory buildup. So in the later days, when we are not using FPSO as much, basically what was done to a welder was slugging, or welder bringing problems, and you didn't have enough tank capacity. So first action will be shutting down that well, okay? And that will resume your issue with water, okay? But mainly the majority of the issues that can uh, result in water inventory buildup on the FPSO cargo slope and cargo tanks are later commissioning of the produced water package. So what's that? Normally, what happens is that you have water package that don't start until water appears. So it is not commissioned in a situation where you can really understand what's going to happen through the time of the reservoir and through the time of operation of that asset. Okay, so produced water package ramp up as well. It's an issue. The produced water packages are designed for a top flow rate, and they work well between 50 to 100% of the top flow rate. And below that, you're gonna have issues. You're gonna have to tune your produced water. The hump up is gonna be very well planned, and that's not the way it happens. The water just starts showing up, and you have a oil producing reservoir. Suddenly, you start getting water, and you don't get it in a very well planned way, and that kind of affect your ramp up. Slope water treatment system unable to treat, mostly of the slope water treatment system that were in place, they were designed into very simple to treat very simple fluid, mainly retention time and some centrifuging. That's about it, and that's not enough for the complexity of the slope water we're getting right now. Prospect produced water exceeding slope tank capacity, that's one issue. Okay, after time, the operators try to tank the water first before they shut down any big producing well. And for you one can imagine that a flow rate of water coming in off spec will result very quickly on a high inventory on board and might just go over the slope tanks, and you start storing water in the cargo tanks, which is kind of taking your capability of taking oil. Upsets on the water treatment, you have a well slugging, you have some issues over there with one of your equipment, let's say a hydrocycle not performing properly, separator not performing properly, some problems in descending, but any issues with your water package or well production might just result in upset of a water treatment, and therefore an inventory buildup. Carry under, carry over and produce water system. It's a is an issue with some of the equipment, especially flotation cells or skin vessel. You can have that, so and that can also contribute to your water inventory buildup. So you can see in the on the timeline over there, like in the buildup, you're gonna have solids, gas, problems coming from process, from chemicals, from the nature of the reservoir. Okay, so what's the consequence of storing water for the FPSO operator and owner? So you reduce your oil cargo storage capacity. That's the first. So, and that will probably reflect on a second consequence, which is increasing the frequency of offload operations. So your operation cost is going high because you're storing water. Other problem with the water is that different from oil, water just trying to commingle with everything that is reject of the process. So everything that is reject of the oil and gas separation process will end up in the water stream, and that make water very aggressive. Okay, so you can have H2S presence due to bacterial activity. You can, due to the H2S on the lower pH, you can have potential structural issues. It's a common issue in the industry for the older FPSOs. FPSOs that doesn't have their structural cargo tank structure treated properly, and they end up having issues with cracks and loss of material due to H2S or low pH. Okay, commingling of spec water, produced water with slope water. Older FPSOs and some newer FPSOs still not separating these two systems. Slope water is one nature. Produce off spec water is a different nature. And due to the limited capacity on board, sometimes you cannot have three four different slope water tanks and systems. So you end up commingling both of them, which will result in a stringent criteria for the discharge. High solids content with long time storage that happens as well. You have the bacteria activity, those biocide, the bacteria die, they become solids. You have also part of the structure, a lot of this solids, fine solids that we found out in the water, iron, okay, so coming from the completion corrosion or even the structural corrosion of the FPSO. Increasing FPSO frequency, as I had said, floating operation frequency, as I said, resulting in stringent criteria for discharge. If you come in and produce water from slope water, you're gonna go from the normally country specs at the range around 29 ppm week average, 42 ppm peak, which is common worldwide, not all places, but we're gonna go to MARPOL discharge, which is 15 ppm. And you're gonna have issues with environmental permits agencies where they're very, very cautious and they watching very closely the water issue. Okay. So what's the operator's current strategy? The first strategy is try to prevent from having high costs on the operation. So try to protect your OPEX costs. So, and you have a water treatment plant on board. So first thing you try to reprocess the water. Okay, which is a good thing if you do it right. It's a good thing if your water feels right for your package, because the package is designed for one kind of water, and slope water stored might not be the same spec and it might just result in more issues. So if you try to do that and you don't have the proper package, or the water that is too complex for your producer water system, you're going to end up producing more of spec water. Okay. Uh, they try to transfer off spec fluid to slope for treatment, try to use this simple slope treatment to discharge, which is also a good idea. Okay, if it does work, it save a lot of money. Okay, try to treat with chemicals inside the cargo tanks. That's when things start getting tricky. Cargo tanks do not allow you to really monitor, to really mix the chemicals properly, and that might result in you know, more issues with chemical dosage, and you know, creating more emotions, sometimes even reverse emotion. Okay, offload part of the off-spec fluid to the offload tanker. Sometimes in the past, when we have higher specs for BSWs on the discharge of the oil, on the offload of the oil, you could just send part of your water, or your non-treatable fluid, or you know, no fluid is not monetized, to the offload tanker, which you will discharge in the terminal to be treated. Okay, right now this has a cost and is a higher cost. Offload water to shore treatment, that's a prohibited cost, but it happens sometimes. It's and you also move uh, the fluid from one place that is a lower impact, environmental impact, to places where you have near shore, which is a high environmental impact. So basically, everyone and operator, when they deal to water, try to uh, debottleneck the production, so increase the production, be able to use the maximum capacity to avoid storing water, reduce the cost, and maintain compliance. And that's the same way CETCO sees it. So what's the CETCO approach? CETCO approach is basically designed and developed through the years, or under our experience. Okay, so we divided in the 5D: define, de-risk, design, develop, and deploy. So when you say define the risk, you're gonna look in this as a service, as a debottlenecking service. Okay, so you're gonna do like what we call Walker study. We're gonna go a little bit on this, which is try to understand your issue, understand, you know, studying your PNID, developing points where we can get samples, to analyze samples, go offshore with miniaturized equipment, so you can monitor the equipment real time, and even prototype treatment over there. The risk, which is like buildings, taking our small scale pilot rental equipment offshore to see if we can treat that water over there. Also, there's There's a pre-job study, and there is a lab task, there is a prototype test, and the data collection on the field, and a full design of a service, solution. On the process solution, you will do the same way, but like in three step, you design, develop, and deploy. So you're gonna get your specs from the, let's say that's a green field. So you get the spec and the feed, and you're gonna design it based on our technology, develop with, with the operator, and deploy, installing, commission, and testing. Okay. So Orca Study, which is basically our consulting service to draw the best solution for your issue, or to the bottleneck, your problem over there. So we do a pre-mobilization preparation. So we're going to study your PNIDs, your PFDs, and how your plant operates to develop the best, the points where we're going to take samples and analyze the performance of each equipment. The overall idea is to understand how your system is performing right now, so we can understand how that water inventory is building up due to some upset in your process or some other issues, perhaps or not a proper design a process. You might find out with some of our equipment that you have one technology, and that technology doesn't really fit well for your need over there. Let's say you have IGF flotation vessel, and you find out that your oil droplets are very small, and the IGF bubbles are too high. And you can find out with our equipment over there, with our analysis, and you can just simply change some of the aspects of your equipment over there. It'll change from IGF, induced gas flotation, to a DGF, dissolved gas flotation, to get a better bubble curtain that will help you coalesce better the oil droplets, and therefore resulting in a better efficiency of your flotation vessel. That's one of the cases, okay? So once you do the preparation study, and you get all the samples, and you get every single step that you're gonna analyze, you go to the field with our equipment, where you're gonna collect data, collect samples, analyze it, and bring the data back to the office, where we're gonna do a full study on it, and present a solution. It might not be a solution that will result in equipment rental or new equipment. It might just be a process tuning solution, changing to a proper chemical, changing for the setup of your equipment over there, and that might just be able to solve your issue. So data acquisition, when we go on board, what kind of data acquisition we can do over there? We can take with us a CETCO particle analyzer to understand how solids and gas bubbles are working in your system over there, through the flotation vessel to the hydrocyclone. You have a portable oil and grease measurement device. This is based on fluorescence. Millipore nice kit to do solid distribution, so you understand the size and the composition of the solids in your system. That's very important. If you have very fine solids, you might have to spend a lot of consumables on treating, taking the solids out of the system. On other infracal or in water measurement, we have also equipment based on colorimetry for oil analysis, and fluorometry for oil analysis, and a DCS system to data capture. And prototype technology that we can take with us in a very small scale. We have the mechanical industrial gas flotation unit. We can have also the dissolved gas flotation unit. Media column to test absorption media over there. Coalescence prototype equipment, chemical bottle testing, beta gas flotation testing unit. So with all that, we can go on board and test your fluid and see which technology or which combination of technology works better for you. Okay, that's a CETCO technology, just a landscape of equipments we can design, manufacture, and operate from service to capital sales. Okay, so we have IGF, we have clay media, walnut shell filters, hydrocyclones, separators, carbon filters, and I'm gonna show you our latest development, which is the most unit. So what's the most unit? Most unit was a development that happens actually in conjunction between Brazil and US. We've been working with operators over here in Brazil, and it's slowly building up our capabilities to be able to treat the fluid, and clients is always asking for more flow rate, compact system, and a modular system. So we developed this modular system, have a lift and transfer module where you have a submersible pump and a power pack for zone 2 operation. You have a chemical injection module where we're going to define the chemicals and use it on the system to be able to reach our double flotation DGF vessel skid where we're going to treat the fluid. And you have a pumping and metering module, which also has a polishing unit. So on that module over there, you have automatic valve and connected to the online meter. So basically, you're gonna just set up your TOG discharge criteria, okay? And the online meter will keep monitoring you online all the time, just getting data. And once that goes over your spec, the valves will automatically change and send the fluid back to the off-spec tank, okay? And you can adjust your system again and go back treating. So that's a fail-safe system, and so you're not gonna have any off-spec discharge. The good about this modular system is it has a quick rig up and is a very small footprint. We design the modules as they do not weigh more than 10 tons in a dry situation and less than 1.5 tons per square meter as a deck load on the operation cargo, okay? And that's basically a criteria developed and studied to attend Brazil and FPSO market, which always has some issues with crane and high loads with the crane, and also small spaces as 2.5 by 2.6 by 4 meter high skid, the biggest skid we have over there. Very compact, has proven results, is in operation since 2014, the first version of the MOS system. So here's like some KPIs of the submersible system we use over there. We have different submersible installation. We treat over 30 million barrels and we transfer over 30 million barrels of fluid. Some of the clients decided they don't want to use a stripping pump to transfer the fluid they have over there to our plant. So they ask us to also produce to install the lift and transfer module, which has a submersible pump and a zone 2 power pack. And in that sense, we developed this design where you can have a special deck cover. So there's no open deck cover over there. So everything is fully connected and you don't have to open your tank. Just need to transfer the water to the tank where the pump is. And we're gonna be able to transfer to our plant, treat it and discharge. A little bit about our results. So you can see over there, in the blue is the inlet spec. Green is the discharge spec. You can see that all of them in spec. Okay, removal efficiency is very high. We're very it's a process very well tuned that operated very well over here. It's proven its efficiency from a long time of operation. Okay, so you can see over here as an inlet fluid, and you're gonna see the outlet fluid. So it's like I said, very compact design, and it's a proven technology that works very well. We had right now at the moment, just in Brazil, we have over 8 of these systems in operations. for different clients from Petrobras to Modec, helping them to debottleneck their issues over there with the water. We had KPIs of over 30 million barrels treated so far from 2016 to 2020. The first version of MOST was developed in 2014 and is being upgraded and you know, the design is evolving and it's getting better and better. So once we said that the solution of the service, let's talk a little bit about the issue with the WSO. Water soluble organics. Not gonna go very much in technical details. Anyone can reach me out and we discuss it a little bit. But the water soluble organics is a very high complex issue, and why it's so high in Brazil right now, FPSO, is because in the past we used to use the standard method 5520F, which has a silica gel extraction process, which normally will capture anything that is considered as water soluble organic. So you can say organic annuals, dicarbonyls, carbohydrates, amino acids, alifact, paraffinic, asphaltenic, anything that's part of the water soluble organics. The way this measurement is done right now, so you take everything to shore, you take your sample to shore, and you do an XN extractable material, you flash it, you know, and everything that doesn't flash it from an 85C and it stay there in the waiter is going to be considered your TOG. And that happens that sometimes you have a lot of contents of water soluble organics. Just to show you over here, a molecule of the emulsifier, and you can see there's two phases in the emulsifier. One phase is a hydrophilic phase, the other phase is a hydrophobic phase. One phase is, you know, has affinity to water, the other phase has affinity to oil. And when the molecule just break, try to, you know, gathering the oil over there, if you have excess of the emulsifier, part of the chemicals that stay in the water stream will be considered WSO as well. So you need to understand it. And again, why it's so hot is because IBAMA, just our environmental agency, just make it more stringent the criteria to test and analyze the TOG. So in the past, we used the 5520F, which has a silica gel extraction method, okay? And the recent update is a 5520B with no silica gel extraction. So everything that we used to be captured from the silica gel in the past now is being considered TOG for you. And there's a huge content of WSO in some cases, not all cases. So there's another issue is that you're only gonna know this afterwards because you gotta take the sample to shore to be done in a lab onshore, and that's the only valid measurement. Offshore, you just do quality measurements to guarantee you inspect, but the one real valuable measurement will be the one done onshore in a lab. So it might be just catching you unprepared when you get like 2 weeks after that telling you that you have a illegal discharge or a discharge off spec. So in 2018, our environmental agency here in Brazil just fined Petrobras for issues with water discharge in 28 platforms. Petrobras, signed a commitment to fix the issues. Most of the issues were related to WSO discharge and not being detected, okay? Petrobras has until the beginning of 2021 to present evidence that they fix the issues to the environmental agency, okay? And in this document, they defined that the 5520B is the method for the analysis, okay? The issue raised a critical concern on Petrobras, and as Petrobras is one of the major, clients for FPSO worldwide, this will reflect in your FPSO projects, okay? So what's a CETCO solution development? That's one thing on the WSO, people's discussing a lot on finding one size fits all solution, and there's no one size fits all solution. You need to understand the mechanism of the water soluble organics in your production, and if there is any, there's a possibility that you don't have any, okay? But if there's any, you're gonna need to understand how the WSO is contributing in each step of your water treatment, And that's the way CETCO does it, and it go study every single step from the, from the low pressure separator to the discharge, from the checking inlet and outlet of hydrocyclones, descending skim vessels, flotation cells, until so you understand if you have any part of the system, any step of the system is contributing to increase your WSO content. And we've been doing this with so long, and it's presenting really good results. So it's a step of study and design in the process, so you can really have a final solution. And that's a graph where you can see where we compare several different methods from the several different steps, from the inlet of a hydrocyclone to the outlet of the polishing units, the filtration vessel that has coalescence and media. And, not gonna go in very much detail, but you're gonna see that the TOG content goes down, the WSO content also goes down, but in some steps you see WSO contents going higher, and that we found out later that as part of a contribution coming from the chemical interaction on the water treatment side. So, that's a graphic that really simplify what happened. We analyze it in the first, and that's a contribution on the total TOG for the WSO. And after we develop our process and system, we could reduce the WSO and the TOG for uh, on spec water to be discharged. So that's about it on the presentation. Just want to give you an overall idea on how water issues are complex and slope water issues are complex. And there's no real one size fit all solution, but there are flexibility on our fleet and our background knowledge to design a proper solution for issues over there. Either is a service solution, or like I said, just a consulting solution to tune up your process, or a final solution with a later development or a new equipment or a change out on the way you're doing the separation and the water treatment on board. So that's about it. I'm open for questions now.
Okay, thank you very much, Andre. That was really, good to know. Water is and fluid management is definitely very important, especially in the management of offshore assets such as FPSO. We had a few questions from the audience. Let me go ahead and share those. So firstly, there was one question. What kind of digital services are currently available in the market to handle slop tank dewatering? And are these services purely for, like measuring and monitoring, or is there any automated dewatering solution also available? So would you be able to share anything regarding this?
There are automated solutions, but there's the main issue is that water treatment is a technology that is in the market for more than 80 years. Okay, it comes first from onshore treatment. So let's say you have a big range of guns to take care of the issue, but there's no one issue that will fit all. So if you come to me and say, oh, can we have an automated package over there to treat the water from one system? Yes, you can have it, but you're going to have to fine tune it to your issues over there, because like I said, water stream will concentrate all the rejects of your process. So that means that the water quality for the slop on one field will not match the other field. Will be similarities, but will be a lot of different as well. So in that case, you're gonna have to analyze, and normally automatic solutions will work around 60-70% of the time, and tailor-made solutions will have to be designed for some cases. So there are solutions in the market that we can develop and give a full blown up package that is totally automated. Okay, but there are other cases that they're gonna have to tune their need. Okay, and design a specific package for that. And on the digital side, you can have all this monitored by shore. You can have even analysis of the equipment being operated overboard and their efficiency monitored by shore to understand when you have an issue and when you have to intervene.
Okay, great. Okay, Andre, another question also related to the digital side. So, in one of your slides, you mentioned data acquisition. There was a question on how is you know, all this data being used at the moment to further reduce the downtime.
Normally when we see data acquisition, there
Mhm.
is a data acquisition through a process of consulting service for a specific asset. Okay, there's also the client has data acquisition and he can install sensors and monitors to understand how each of the system is operating. Okay, which they have right now, but sometimes not as detailed as it should be, with the increasing capacity of digital data being transferred from, like we just saw the presentation before, from offshore to shore. You're going to be able to install more sensors, more monitors, be able to detail monitor every single step of the process. And in that, we're going to be able also not only to troubleshoot, but to prevent or to predict a problem that might happen in an equipment and asset in the future. It's not being used now because, like I said, what is kind of second phase of the process, people first focusing on the production of oil. So all the data and the digital process are focusing on oil separation equipment and oil metering, oil transfer, because it's the monetized fluid and what is kind of cost. So people was looking in the future to develop capabilities to predict problems and issues on the water side that will prevent them, and also reduce issues with the water that might be scaling up and be very cost to an operator.
Uh, okay, we had time for one more question. So I'll just choose this last one. You talked about your modular solution called, I think, Most, right? Most.
Most, yeah.
So there was a question for your modular solution, Most. Where is this being fabricated usually, and is it possible for other module suppliers in the market to provide CETCO's slot treatment system in their own module? So do you also do something like that, or do you only provide your own module, Most?
No, we fabricate our own equipment. We fabricated here in Brazil. We fabricated in US. We fabricated in Asia. Okay. CETCOs also sell greenfield package for the new FPSOs. So there's extensive history and background of descenders, hydrocyclones, flotation vessels. But we will tune to that feed and to that need of that greenfield. And like in brownfield development, in case you need a specific solution for you, and let's say Most is the specific solution you need, we are able to fabricate and install and commission. And it will be a different one because we do one way for service, which is you gotta have flexibility when you get service, because you're not getting always the same spec of water. And when you go for brownfield or greenfield development, you're going to set up to the specs of the client. So it's going to be a little bit different, and it's going to be fully automated. But the ones are like you can fabricate it anywhere in the world, but it's a CETCO patent design. But we'll do it and we sell it as well.
Uh, you know, this was something from my side. For the fabrication, do you also have your own fabrication yard, or do you work with third party yards?
No, we work with third-party yards. It's not really on our pipeline, the idea of being fabricator, but we own the design and the internal designs and the material specs and everything. We have our engineering that does all that part.
Okay. So thank you very much, Andre. It's been a
That
really
was my
great.
my pleasure. My
Thank
pleasure.
you. Okay, so now we're gonna, go back to Jamie, and she's gonna take us through the next section. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zishan. Thank you very much, Andre, for the interesting presentation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to the final two videos for our new segment on the power demonstration videos. And I'd like to now show you two videos from CETCO Energy Services as well as Boskalis.
CETCO Energy Services has been providing solutions to the oil and gas industry for over 20 years. Our technologies have been developed to help operators increase plant throughput, extend asset life, and improve environmental performance. We treat high volumes of produced water in a small footprint, either on a temporary or permanent basis for compliant overboard discharge. Our specialty is solving complex water challenges anywhere, including at subsea levels. NEMO, our subsea fluid collection and processing system, is our proprietary technology that captures limited quantities of trapped hydrocarbons and processes water-based fluids for subsea discharge. We provide pipeline and flow line solutions such as the removal of toxic chemicals and hydrocarbons from hydrotest and hydrate remediation fluids, and the removal of paraffin and asphaltene blockages at distances greater than standard practices. CETCO has the talent and years experience to design, operate, and troubleshoot systems to treat stored slop water and handle produced water on a temporary or permanent basis. We help our customers improve efficiencies that otherwise prohibit them from meeting environmental requirements. We provide extremely unique services. We remove arsenic, zinc, and mercury from produced water for compliant discharge and remove hydrocarbons from glycol-based fluid. CETCO isolates and treats completion and acid stimulation flowback fluids from new and recompleted offshore wells to minimize facility process disruptions, facilitate compliant discharge, and reduce waste disposal. CETCO Energy Services offers a comprehensive portfolio of products, services, and innovative solutions to handle complex fluid challenges. With over 20 years of experience in oil and gas and industrial wastewater sectors, we manage fluid projects worldwide, from exploration to production to decommissioning.
Good day. Boskalis is part of the FPSO industry since its origination. And during this journey together we have seen all aspects of the business cycle multiple times. We aspire to be the leading marine expert with our one-stop shop approach for all marine services required during both the CAPEX and OPEX phase of an FPSO project. With an emphasis on tailored project engineering, I think it's fair to say that with our resourceful and hands-on culture, this is what we enjoy most and where we perform best. Case by case, we engineer compelling marine solutions. And please let us walk you through what this means in detail and how this may manifest as a value add to your project. We will break it up into 4 sections, and these are construction assistance, transport, installation, and maintenance and decommissioning.
Boskalis owns and operates a fleet of floating cranes deployed on FPSO integration projects in Europe and Brazil. Established in 1985, Asian Lift, the Singapore-based joint venture between Boskalis and Keppel Offshore and Marine, owns and operates 3 floating cranes with up to 5,000 metric tons lifting capacity. Asian Lift is a market leader for FPSO module and turret lifts at the construction yards in Singapore. Boskalis is the market leader when it comes to transportation of FPSOs to their production location using either its fleet of long-distance tugs for wet tow or dry transportation on its semi-submersible vessels. Boskalis is in a unique position to propose the most suitable transport solution tailored for its clients' needs. Over the past years, Boskalis has dry transported various types of floaters from ship-shaped, box-shaped, or circular design. In 2020, the Boca Vanguard broke its own record for a long-distance dry transport when it delivered the 92,000 metric ton box-shaped Petrobras P70 FPSO from China to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
As mentioned, Boskalis is capable of offering multiple solutions for transporting your FPSO. Not only the conventional wet tow can be offered, we also have the availability of the Boca Vanguard. For the Boca Vanguard, we can offer a dry transportation of your FPSO. The benefits of using the Boca Vanguard for your FPSO transportation is that you can shorten the transit time. And this has multiple benefits. You know exactly upfront what the transition time of your FPSO will be. And another advantage is that we are better capable of avoiding the bad weather. By avoiding the bad weather, you also can optimize the design of your FPSO, which in the end leads to less steel for your FPSO. But we believe that the best benefit is that the transition time of your FPSO is shortened so that we can extend the time at the yard. Time at the yard, of course, is essential in order to do your commissioning of the FPSO before delivery. This not only benefits the operator of the FPSO, but also the lifetime of the FPSO. Having a FPSO on the Boca Vanguard will shorten your transit time and will optimize your design of the FPSO. So to conclude, if you want to transport your FPSO from the Far East to, for example, the Gulf of Mexico or Brazil, you can shorten the time of transit from almost 90 days to less than 50 days. These days you can be used for commissioning your FPSO at the yard, and it's valuable time for the customers and for the end client.
Boskalis offers one-stop transport and installation solutions to its clients that include the FPSO transport, positioning, mooring system installation, and hookup. This reduces the interface risk for Boskalis' clients. The Boca Falcon is a construction support vessel specifically for the installation and hookup of mooring systems. Equally, the Boca Lift 1 heavy lift vessel can be outfitted for these tasks. Often a good fit for projects with comprehensive mooring systems to be loaded and installed in a single trip in remote areas or for projects with large lifting requirements. In 2020, she completed a comprehensive mooring preset in the Arctic.
The key operating advantages we have is that we are the single company with owned and controlled assets and pertinent project tooling for transport and installation, as well as hookup scopes altogether. We are ahead of the market when it comes to product leadership. Or better, our ability to realize integrated solutions.
Boskalis has a large international network of offices. Where required, Boskalis can rely on its capable employees stationed in offices around the world to assist with local rules and regulations in full. Boskalis operates a large fleet of dive support vessels, construction support vessels, and anchor handling vessels. These assets can be used for the inspection, maintenance, and repair of subsea FPSO components such as thrusters and mooring lines. After the operational life of the FPSO, Boskalis can disconnect the FPSO from its mooring system and transport the FPSO to either a shipyard or disposal yard. The subsea systems will be removed in accordance with applicable legislation.
To conclude, ultimately we differentiate by the ability to offer tailored marine solutions throughout the entire FPSO lifecycle. And the dialogue to potentially integrate various marine services may lead to substantial value add to your FPSO project. We can create new horizons together for the FPSO industry.